I used to believe love was proven in the quiet moments, not the dramatic ones people post online, not grand gestures or public declarations. I believed love lived in the small, invisible acts, the ones no one clapped for. Remembering how he took his coffee, folding his shirts the way he liked, staying calm when he was overwhelmed, even when I was tired myself. That was the woman I was for him. My name is Elara Monroe, and before everything unraveled, I was someone who loved with intention. We met on an ordinary afternoon that felt unimportant at the time, the kind of day you never expect to remember. He spilled coffee on his sleeve, laughed at himself, and apologized too much. I liked that. It felt human, disarming. We talked about work, about ambition, about how exhausting it was to pretend we had everything figured out. He told me he admired my calm. I told him I admired his confidence. Neither of us knew how much those traits would later be tested. At first, loving him felt easy. He listened when I spoke. He remembered things. He made space for me in his plans and his life. When I doubted myself, he steadied me. When he felt unsure, I believed in him enough for both of us. I thought that was partnership. I didn't notice when the balance slowly shifted. I didn't notice when my support became expected instead of appreciated. When my patience became something he relied on but never returned. When I started shrinking parts of myself to make room for his needs. I told myself that was what commitment looked like. I was wrong, but I didn't know it yet. We built routines. Comfortable ones, predictable ones. Sunday mornings meant silence and shared coffee. Weeknights meant him talking about work while I listened, nodding, offering reassurance. I learned when to speak and when not to. I learned how to smooth his frustrations, how to anticipate his moods. He called me his anchor. I wore that title with pride. What anchors don't realize, though, is that they're meant to stay still while everything else moves freely. The first moment I felt something shift was small, almost laughable. He came home late one evening, later than usual, and didn't explain why. When I asked casually, he answered too quickly. Work ran long, his voice didn't waver, but his eyes didn't meet mine. I ignored it. Everyone has long days. Everyone is allowed privacy. Love isn't about interrogation, it's about trust. So I trusted him. That became my pattern. There were other moments, tiny fractures I brushed aside. His phone started facing down on the table. Notifications silenced. Password changed, though he laughed it off when I noticed. "You're imagining things," he said gently, as if soothing a child. And I believed him, because believing him was easier than questioning the foundation of the life we were building. I loved him in ways that were invisible to the world. I defended him when friends raised concerns. I softened his sharp edges when others found him difficult. I excused the moments when he was distant, irritable, distracted. "He's just stressed," I would say. What I didn't say was that I was too. I was tired in a way that sleep didn't fix. Tired of being the understanding one. Tired of holding space without having space held for me in return. Still, I stayed. Love, I thought, required endurance. One evening, while folding laundry, I found a receipt in his pocket. A restaurant I didn't recognize, a date circled in ink. I stood there for a long time, the fabric warm from the dryer, the receipt thin and harmless looking in my hand. When I asked him about it, he barely glanced up. "Client dinner," he said. No hesitation, no detail, no concern. I folded the receipt back into the pocket and placed the shirt neatly in the drawer. That should have been the moment I listened to myself, but I didn't. I want to be honest about who I was then. I wasn't naive. I wasn't foolish. I wasn't weak. I was loyal. And loyalty, when misplaced, can quietly destroy you. There were nights I lay awake beside him, listening to his breathing, wondering why I felt alone even when he was right there. I would turn toward him, hoping for closeness, only to find distance disguised as sleep. I started asking myself questions I never used to ask. Was I asking for too much? Was I changing? Was this just what long-term love looked like? I blamed myself first. That's what women like me are taught to do. He still told me he loved me. That was the cruelest part, because he said it convincingly. He said it the way someone says something they've practiced. Something familiar, something safe. And I wanted to believe it meant what it used to. The first real crack came on a quiet afternoon. I called him during my break, nothing urgent, just wanting to hear his voice. It rang longer than usual before going to voicemail. A minute later, a message appeared. "Can't talk?" In a meeting, something about it felt wrong. Not alarming, just hollow. That was when I realized something had changed inside me. I didn't rush to defend him this time. I simply noticed. That night, he kissed my forehead like always, asked about my day, told me about his. Everything sounded normal, too normal, and for the first time, I wondered not what he was doing, but what he was hiding. I didn't know then how much my life was about to fracture. I didn't know that this quiet discomfort was the beginning of an awakening, not the end of love. I only knew this. The woman I was for him, the patient one, the loyal one, the forgiving one, was slowly disappearing, and the woman I was becoming was paying attention. If this story resonated with you, the full series continues on our channel. Subscribe to Berries Inc. for stories written from the heart.